This is David Frederick, and I'm Front Row. Okay, everyone. I wanted to do an introduction of the Jim Crockett Senior Memorial Tag Team Tournament. The first round, definitely the first round, second round. I'm going on the basis of the VHS commercial tape that it has a major promotion with starting. We offered $1 million to find the toughest, roughest, meanest man in America. Then we put him in hand-to-hand combat in the greatest spectacular display of tag team championship wrestling ever captured on videotape. I mean, that's a fast-paced version of it. It's a well-known video promotion of this tag team tournament, where I had done the Crockett Cup 1986 tournament, and almost just about every match is shown, if not 1 minute enjoined in progress matches. The VHS tape release, and I'm hoping the network does release a full version of this show. There are so many matches not shown in this tag team tournament, first round and second round, even quarterfinals. The Japanese representatives, Shohei Giant Baba and Isayo Takagi, none of their matches are shown in the video at all. A still image of maybe a few matches. There are so many matches. Now, like the Crockett Cup 1986 tournament, I do a photo array like the 86 VHS tape does show. Now, I take those images and I'm going to do here in the 1987 tournament. And I cover, I took the results from the history of the WWE.com website, covering all shows from 1987. They have full results of each match, and I implemented them into each photo array you're going about to see. And this is going to cover what video does not cover. And we all gotta pray there's a full version of this tournament, because there are so many matches. There's so many good matches that could be seen. There are also some probably poor matches and some strange tag team combinations. I pointed out in the Crockett Cup 86 show, there are some strange tag team combinations. I said you're going to see each match, but not video, a still image of each, and the result of each is what I had to do for this show. One of the strangest things I got to point out in first round is in the second bracket is Steve Kern and George South. Team against Mike Graham and Nelson Royal, a 20-minute draw. Why are you doing a draw in the first round? Follows by the Rock and Express not showing up, and I cover this later in my match results of this show. This doesn't make any sense whatsoever. The Rock and Express, Ricky Morton had an eye injury, did not show up. So in the first match that I just said as a draw, also. One of the most interesting things about this tag team tournament is Randy and Bill Mulkey, who are longtime jobbers, talent enhancement. They win a very stunning, surprising match on the WTBS show over that I think it's the Gladiators. So they get an introduction. They get a chance at the tag team tournament. Are you kidding me? And they called it Mulkey Mania. They'll quickly lose that. I mean. The Mulkeys win, one surprise match, and they get into a $1 million tag team tournament. Are you kidding me? There are so many matches not shown in this tag team tournament. It's not even funny. It's so disturbing. Also, another team, and I'm looking at the brackets from ProWrestlingHistory.com in their WCW tag team tournament history, the Crockett Cup. Also, the Thunderfoots 1 and 2, masked guys. They were also all jobbers. They win a match over another jobber, Rocky King and Bobby Jaggers, and you'll see the photo of that match, not the entire match because there is no video of this match, but I want to explain what you're going to see. It's really disturbing tag team combinations. I wanted to point out before I wanted to introduce what you're about to see. There's some surprising tag teams show up in this show, upsets in this show, things that you just don't understand. So I wanted to introduce the first and second round matches in this photo array, it's pretty much a copy. My photo array is a copy of the Crockett Cup '86 show I did. So, and hopefully enjoy what I've done here. It was a lot of work. All right, the first match in the VHS commercial release of the Jim Crockett Senior Memorial Cup Tag Team Tournament, 1987. Uh, Superstar Bill Dundee, major Memphis legend, and he teamed up with the Barbarian, and it's again a really unusual tag team whom decided to put those two together against a fairly decent tag team. They were very good tag. They were very good tag team wrestlers, but again, another one that's unusual to put together. They were great wrestlers on their own right. Mike Rotundo and Tim Horner, I like them very much. But this is the first time these two teams are being merged together. But the first match seen in the commercial VHS release, most of the time, Barbarian is doing most of the work for his team. Um, the only there is an absolutely funny moment in this match. It happens in 5 minutes, and let me only express that all the matches in the commercial release, the VHS commercial release of this show, is again joined in progress. It is not available yet on the WWE Network, so a full version is yet to be seen. But with the commercial release tape, it's seen about 5 minutes and 32 seconds in. And it is not much of a moment, but for me, it was absolutely funny. Um, Barbarian has Mike Rotundo in a sleeper, and seems like Rotundo is going to go down in a sleeper. Bill Dundee's yelling, he's out. But the fans start cheering for Rotundo to return. No rally back. Wake up. Bill Dundee climbs up on the top turnbuckle, kind of, and waving his hands at the fans. Stop cheering! He's waving his hands. Don't cheer. Don't no. Don't yell for him. Are you kidding me? That is unbelievably funny. I have never seen a wrestler since in such an unusual matchup of these strangely put together teams. Any of the wrestlers, the opposing, no, the heels, to tell the fans to quiet down and don't cheer for the uh, uh, the baby faces to wake up or rally back. That is the one. I think it's not much of a moment, but for me, it's unbelievably funny. For a wrestler to tell the fans not to start cheering. I mean, they can tell the fans off, put them down, whatnot, but not to. It's a funny moment. I've never seen it repeated, but for the just joined in progress match, which most are going to be in a majority until the finals. Um, Now, Barbarian does most of the work for him and Bill and D. I think most the one moment that Barbarian and Dundee they get a double, and they one of them gets headbutted. They did a double headbutt, and it's Dundee that goes down because Barbarian is too big of a man. Um, but Tim Horner tries a sleeper on the Barbarian, and Dundee. You can't see if he's holding a object in his hand or not, or he just hits him with his bare hand, hits Tim Horner on the side, knocks him down, and Barbarian covers Tim Horner for the pin to win this first round match. And also that this is okay. This VHS tape, just like the 1986 version of the Crockett Cup VHS release, the brackets are again mixed up. So we'll have to see if the WWE Network are going to show these matches in order. But this is a fourth bracket, first round match, and Bill Dundee and Barbarian defeat Mike Rotundo and Tim Horner. All right, match number 3 in the first round, VHS release. I'm gonna keep repeating that. I might get on people's nerves. Um, Good father son tag team. And they, I don't know whether they've won titles in their own territory. When Bob Armstrong was running his territory, I believe it was Alabama. I'm sorry if I'm mistaken about that. I know I haven't done a lot of research yet because this is a an obscure VHS tape, despite the fact I promoted the hell out of it to do research. I should be doing research on this. uh, Bob and Brad Armstrong versus Vladimir Petrov and Ivan Koloff. Now, Vladimir Petrov is a new Russian character because of Nikita Koloff's face turn in the late '86. Ivan Koloff brings in this really big man that was to replace Nikita Koloff. This is a match I would very much like to see in a full version, hoping on the WWE Network. Um, I know, don't want to give spoilers away, despite the fact this is 1987. I love to have seen the Armstrongs reach the final match. They deserved to have been in the final match. Again, I'd like to see a full version of this match. Brad Armstrong on fire in this. Wow, he's a great drop kicking wrestler. Wow, and I said before in that Bill Apter finds him the most underrated wrestler. When I asked Bill Apter that question, and Bob Armstrong, the veteran of this match, including Ivan Koloff, I said I would love to see a full version of this match, but it's not much. Where the ending, I said all these matches are joined in progress, and Brad Armstrong had Ivan Koloff in a sleeper, and immediately Vladimir Petrov brings in the Russian chain and smacks Brad Armstrong. That was stupid. Right smack in front of the referee. Pretty much quick ending, and I'm not sure, how long this match is. It's one of the few matches yet in the first round. You'd like to see a full version of it, but the Armstrongs are advanced to the second round by disqualification. Again, as I explained in the introduction, there are several matches, many, majority of the matches of this tag team tournament missing on VHS, and we'd like to see it on WWE Network in full version. We skip to the second round, match 6. Will be the Ron and Jimmy Garvin against the Midnight Express, the new version of the Midnight Express, starting in 1987 with Beautiful Bobby and Sweet Stan Lane, with Jim Cornette, Stan Lane replacing Dennis Condrey. And this match stems from a fireball attack by Jim Cornette on Ron Garvin. Barry Windham and Ron Garvin, the United States. No, it was match for the United States Tag Team title against the Midnight Express, and Cornette. It was on a TV taping, one of the most horrific moments in NWA TV history. That Cornette threw the fireball into the face of Ron Garvin, really severely burning him, and it's where Jimmy Garvin turns face and joins his brother. And the opening of this actually opened. This is one of the rare moments of this tape that it is not joint in progress. They start where the Garvins go to attack the Midnight Express for that fireball incident, and they go after Jim Cornette too. Um, oh my God, is Cornette running like a coward, even compared to what the Baby Doll matches in 1986 during the Bash '86 shows. One unusual thing, but Jimmy Garvin, he's wearing his silver glitter pants, and usually he takes them off into wearing shorts. And it's an unusual thing to see, or Jimmy Garvin's wearing his glitter pants. But it's the Garvins go ferociously going to attack them in an express. But Stan Lane is one of the most interesting. He has like a savate kick or a he's good, very good at martial arts. As Tony Schiavone described as you see as a black belt we've seen so much of. Many times Ron Garvin does his hands of stone, which I absolutely a big fan of. One moment he punches Bobby Eaton. I think Bobby Eaton was supposed to go over the top rope, but he doesn't. The momentum does not. He doesn't momentum himself enough over the top rope. He drops and goes out onto the below the bottom rope to go out. So that it looked like a botch to me there. And then when their match started, it was 5 minutes joined in. 5 minutes later in the match. So depending on how it's gonna be again a match you like to see a full version of. Um, like I said, when Ronnie Garvin used his hand of stone on Bobby Eaton, he didn't go over the top rope, but he went under the bottom. Actually, I think the match would have been ended in the so-called over the top rope disqualification, since Garvin would have hit Bobby and he went over the top rope. Maybe Bobby did it intentionally to prevent the match from ending in a DQ. But when Bobby Eaton goes to escape onto the floor and Ron goes for a pile driver. Then comes Cornette with his tennis racket, and he whacked Ron Garvin. Cornette. This is the second time. How many times that Cornette's had the tennis racket, especially on Ronnie Garvin? He used it twice on Garvin in the Louisville street fight with Bubba at Stark '86. Wow. He whacked Garvin on the back. Really, oh my God, that was an impact. But the referee ended up counting Ronnie Garvin out on the floor, and the Midnight Express win by countout. Cornette and the Midnight Express quickly run. They know they're going to advance in the tournament on a countout win over their new heated rivals, the Garvins. And as it's announced that the Midnight Express have won by countout, then Garvin really pissed off. He's going to be so pissed off because of that fireball incident with Cornette. He attacks referee Earl Hebner. Ugh. It's just how pissed off he was. But the Midnight Express overcome the Garvins by a really lame ending, but a count out. All right, the sixth match that's seen in the VHS commercial release for the Crockett Cup Tag Team Tournament is the first of two single matches in Baltimore, Maryland, in April of 1987, and this would probably be Big Bubba Rogers, one of my favorite characters. One of his last appearances in the NWA area. I believe he'd go on and move on to bigger and better things. He'd go on to work with General Skandar Akbar in the UWF. Big Bubba is going to take on Ole Anderson. Now the stories between the two of them. Ole Anderson had been kicked out of the Horsemen, and I remember the TV taping that J.J. Dillon asked Cornette to, was in a vague sense, kind of a bounty without money. Can you J.J. Dillon asked Cornette, can you have Bubba take down Ole? No, we're not going to deal with him anymore. And this steel cage lights out, where the referee will count to 10 anytime the man is down. He'll start counting. Today you'd call it last man standing. A fairly decent steel cage match. Yeah, heck, even Ole bled in this match. I love how when the whole match is shown, at least compared to the the early part of this tag team tournament. I love when they announce Ole Anderson. He's like, and he's charging Bubba. I love that. I just love that charge. It's a fairly good, fun match to watch. Ole Anderson, the rugged veteran, going against Bubba's kind of a rookie. He started only 1 year earlier, but he's a big man. It's why Dusty chose him to work as Cornette's bodyguard. For a man his size, he works pretty fast, pretty good. And it's a back and forth of a referee counting 10 on these guys to get up off their feet and continue the match. This would be... I might be mistaken, but Bubba's second time in a steel cage. I know that okay, Bubba and Dusty Rhodes were tying in the Bunkhouse Stampedes, and Jim Crockett Senior orders. Jim Crockett Jr. Has Bubba and Dusty compete in one final match, a steel cage match in Pittsburgh, to decide the winner of the Bunkhouse Stampedes, and that was a steel cage match in Pittsburgh. So this is, I think, is the second steel cage match Bubba has ever been in. I think, but this Ole Anderson Bubba match it's kind of it's kind of a bounty match for the Horsemen, but Ole Anderson does a infamous great pile driver on Bubba. Okay, I won't say great. He did not get him. He did get him standing up in the pile driver. It was a great image, but it went flat down. The pile driver did not go totally vertical, so it was kind of like what Arn Anderson does at Gourdbuster. It's not completely vertical. He goes flat down at an angle and downward. So it worked. Bubba's down, and Ole Anderson. Referee Tommy Young's count is getting really close, and Ole couldn't really get up that fast, so he kind of he legs to push himself toward the ropes and pulls himself up, and Ole Anderson wins the lights out steel cage match over Bubba. It's sorry to see I won't see Bubba with Cornette most anymore. Bubba is gonna now work in the UWF doing Scanner Akbar, and he would take the UWF heavyweight title from One Man Gang. And later in July during the Great American Bash, Bubba would lose the UWF title to Steve Dr. Williams. It's a fairly good match for Big Bubba Rogers, and Ole Anderson defeats him in this lights out steel cage match, the first of two single matches. All right, the ninth match shown in the VHS release is a quarterfinal match. Tully Blanchard and Lex Luger making their first appearance against Bob and Brad Armstrong, and they were since the first round. Honest to God, I think the Armstrong should have been semi or final match, but Brad Armstrong was in for a while, and again a match in progress. Brad Armstrong really took a pounding, and Lex Luger is being pushed in 1987, and I want this tournament should have been having Tully Blanchard and Arn Anderson team up. I think that would have been look a lot better. But Lex Luger had the Horseman push. After Brad Armstrong's time in the ring, and then Bob Armstrong. Wow, he kind of for old man, he's a house of fire with a lot of knife edge chops and poundings. He's a veteran. Yeah, he's a veteran. You have not seen much of him, unless in 1987 with his son. Unless you're in Alabama, you didn't see much about Bob Armstrong and where territory he's from. This has a very poor ending. But one moment that's actually seen in the VHS trailer for this match is a I believe a suplex by Lex Luger on Brad Armstrong, and wow, Brad Armstrong really sold a back impact onto the mat. But once the poor ending of this match is Jesus. Tully Blanchard. Okay, the referee loses control and of all four men in the ring, and then Tully Blanchard and J.J. Dillon do a clothesline. J.J. Dillon's on the outside of the ring. He's on the on the ring apron, but he holds hands with Tully Blanchard, and they do a lame clothesline on Bob Armstrong. Bob falls down, and Tully covers him. It was a crappy cover. Bob just laid there. And for a veteran to take such a lousy clothesline from a manager and a wrestler, give me a break. That was something you see on TV maybe. But for a team that's been doing great since the first round, it was a lousy a lousy loss. A way to lose the match. But Tully Blanchard and Lex Luger into the semifinals. Okay, this is again proving how hastily put together this VHS commercial release was. Again, with such a great promotion of this show, they shortened this tournament down to such a 2 hour tape, and hardly put anything of the early rounds, and put probably was mostly the quarter semifinal into this tape. And the fifth item of this VHS tape put in is an announcement and an entrance by Robert Gibson of the Rock and Roll Express. Apparently, Ricky Morton suffered an eye injury. They are announcing it. Ricky Morton suffered a detached retina. And it's never explained on TV. It's only apparently happened here. And it's never talked about. Only in this show. I don't know what in the world really occurred with Rock and Roll Express. But apparently, and they are put onto the poster of this show. That you can see them kneeling down or sitting down in the front of all the other tag teams of the poster. But apparently they're not able to work together tonight at the show. Robert Gibson appears as Gary Michael Capetta announces that Ricky Morton has an eye injury, and Robert Gibson comes in with kind of nice street clothes, shakes his hand, and Rock and Express are unable to show, so they have to forfeit. Now here's the thing. What makes this forfeit announcement even more stranger is that in the first round, tag team match of Steve Kernan and George South against Mike Graham and Nelson Royal ended in a 20-minute time limit draw. Match not shown. The second round would have been the Rock and Roll Express versus the winners of that match. The Rock and Roll Express cannot work because Ricky Morton has an eye injury. What was the point of even making this announcement and having that first round match a time limit draw? This is a waste of videotape. God, the Crockett Cup '86 shows joined in progress is a 1 minute or 2 minutes of all the first round matches. What was the point of making this videotape? It's like 90% the quarter semifinals. Why bother showing? Wow, they showed more first round matches than second round. One second round match, the Garbins against the Midnight Express. This is a very hastily put together tape of just showing their stars. It's to announce the Rock and Roll Express were not going to appear because, and apparently they appeared in the poster. This is really stupid part, to make that announcement. And it never was announced on TV what occurred if Ricky Morton had an eye injury. Why wasn't he out in other further matches? I don't know. But we are now going to go to in the tournament. We're going to go into the quarterfinals. Not one second round match is shown, except for the Garbins and Express and the Rock and Roll Express having to forfeit that match. All right, now we go into the starting the quarterfinals, the second night in the Jim Crockett Funeral Tag Team Tournament with the Road Warriors versus the Midnight Express. And the introductions are shown, but apparently the match is again pushed during in progress. Not sure how I guess a match you like to see full version of. I guess the Road Warriors, it's unusual for them to sell, and Road Warrior Hawk spent a lot of time in the ring, getting beat down, but I guess they wanted to sell for the new tag team version of Bobby Eaton and Stan Lane, and, yeah, Hawk takes a little bit of a pummeling by, Eaton and Lane. Eventually, Hawk tags out the Animal, but also the referee gets bumped. Animal gets a couple of possible pin covers, but there's no referee. Then Jim Cornette again with a fireball incident. I mentioned before he did a fireball incident on TV with Ronnie Garvin. Now Cornette does one on Road Warrior Animal, and just barely did Animal fall backwards to miss it, and that was a full fireball. You could see it, and Animal just barely missed. Wow. It just barely missed hitting Animal right in the face. And Animal backed off but then came in the tennis racket came into place, and the Road Warriors had the tennis racket. But the referee seen them using the tennis racket, and then the Road Warriors were disqualified for use of the tennis racket. Then came because the Road Warriors were the first annual, 1986, the first annual Crockett Cup Tag Team Tournament winners. Um, a massive chant by the fans in Baltimore of bullshit. They were upset that the Road Warriors were disqualified over the Midnight Express. Wow, major upset here as the Midnight Express continue in the tournament and the Road Warriors are out. All right, the eighth match in the tag team tournament in the first appearance of the American Dream Dusty Rhodes and Nikita Koloff, the Superpowers, as they take on the number one seed, Raging Bull Manny Fernandez and Ravishing Rick Rude, the NWA World Tag Team Champions. That's why they were seeded, and there was Paul Jones. The controversy about Manny Fernandez and Rick Rude were seeded number one. They were the World Tag Team Champions, and they defeated the Rock and Roll Express in December of '86. Now, the Midnight Express were the World Tag Team Champions in the previous Crockett Cup Tag Team Tournament, and they were not seeded number one. Cornette was very angry with that, especially he showed anger that when they announced the teams that they were the previous tag team champions. Two things I looked up about this match, about who made the finals, who had the most matches in this tournament, and it makes sense that Tully Blanchard and Lex Luger represented the Horsemen. They would make the finals, and they had a second round match. They had 3 straight wrestling matches with no draws, forfeitures, so they didn't have no free advancements. Now, Dusty Rhodes and Nikita Koloff, this is actually their second match in the tournament, even though this is something that should have been shown in this tape. Bill Dundee and Barbarian, they have a video on their first round match. They defeated Tim Horn and Mike Rotundo. Dusty Rhodes and Nikita Koloff defeat Bill Dundee and Barbarian in a second round match. That match should have been shown, since Dusty and Nikita reached the final. The match with Dundee and Barbarian in the second round, that match should have been shown. And the thing is with Lex Luger and Tully Blanchard, hardly any of their matches are shown. There is a ton of matches that are not shown, and it's so disappointing for this videotape. But with this particular match alone, Dusty spends a lot of time with it. I guess a match joint in progress again, and Dusty takes a lot of no shots by Raging Bull Manny Fernandez, and Randy Fernandez and Dusty Rhodes were once World Tag Team Champions back in 1984. And Dusty takes a lot of hand shots, kind of martial arts moves, whatnot, but from his former partner and turned heel Manny Fernandez. Nikita Koloff, really, you never get to see him hardly in this until the very ending, and it's disappointing. This is a match you definitely want to see in full version. Now you notice Nikita Koloff wearing the neck brace. This is just after. This is on TV taping just after Nikita Koloff at Turnface and Dick Murdoch, Dusty's former longtime original tag team partner when Dusty Rhodes debuted back in the early 70s. They were the Texas Outlaws. Well, Dick Murdoch's very angry that he picked a Russian rather than pick your Texas buddy, your Texas best friend, oldest friend in the world. And Dick Murdoch attacked Nikita Koloff with a standing kind of what you call brain buster on a concrete floor, kind of injuring Nikita. So Nikita for a long time is wearing a neck brace. And because this match is so the joint in progress cuts the match where it's hard to enjoy it. But Dusty's taking it's more strange to see Dusty do a lot more ring work, and Nikita was hardly in it. He said Nikita ended up fighting Rick Rude. Dusty's fighting Manny Hernandez. You don't see much Nikita until the ending of the match, really. Then Manny Fernandez, he goes off the top rope, and he does knock down Dusty, but then Dusty he overtops Manny Fernandez and reverses. He gets him into a pin, hooks to leg, and Dusty and Nikita defeat the World Tag Team Champions to advance into the semifinals. And this would be, even though Dusty and Nikita are definitely the favorites, they upset the World Tag Team Champions. In the 10th match of this VHS release, Dusty Rhodes and Nikita Cross versus the Midnight Express Jim Cornette. Um, Dusty opens up with pummeling everybody with the elbow and showing off, and this is actually shown in the trailer of the VHS release. Even in one moment, he gets Bubba. Big Bubba Rogers with the elbow and knocks him out. And then Jim Cornette, you could hear tell Bubba, "No, don't do that. I could get us disqualified." Nikita Koloff, rather than in their previous match with World Tag Team Champions Manny Fernandez and Rick Rude, where Dusty spent most of the time in the ring, this match Nikita spent most of the time in the ring, and Bobby and Stan Lane really work on Nikita and his neck brace injury. Even one moment, the heels this time, Lane and Eaton, they exchanged places, but the referee did not see the tag out, but he let it go. One moment, no, that's funny. Cornette, his mouthpiece, he yells at Nikita while he's down. So, "You're not a defector, you're defective." Yeah, well, the ending of this match, I think the camera was kind of out of place. I think Nikita, you do see Nikita strike Bobby Eaton, but you don't see what he hit him with. It seems I think he hit him with a Russian sickle, and Nikita quickly covers Bobby Eaton, and Nikita pins him. And Dusty Rhodes and Nikita Cross defeat the Midnight Express. All right, the 11th match, the second singles match of the Crockett Cup Tag Team Tournament is NWA World Champion Ric Flair defending against Barry Windham. And Barry Windham was always one of my longtime favorites growing up. And when the VHS tape was released, this was one of my favorite matches. I didn't realize this was not a full version match. I'd love to see the full version. And majority of the match is shown. And this is a match I really wish Barry Windham would have defeated Ric Flair. There are so many times I would love to have seen Barry Windham defeat Ric Flair. Eventually Barry Windham would win the title, but not with Ric Flair. And, this is a classic Ric Flair match. Classic Barry Windham Ric Flair match. There's so many moments in this match there's so many moments. It's crazy. One of the things I caught, that Ric Flair goes to attempted pile drive Barry Windham on the concrete floor. Then referee Tommy Young warms him, but then Tony Schiavone says something strange. He said a pile drive would have been a disqualification. Well, when the Garvins faced the Midnight Express, Ron Garvin was going to pile drive Bobby Eaton. That would have disqualified Ron Garvin. Okay, so nothing's mentioned during that match. And a pile driver is a disqualification. Over top rope is. We all hate that. A pile driver is a disqualification. I mean, there's some territories that don't like the pile driver. But there are so many times that there's so many constant 2 counts, and Barry Windham whipping Ric Flair's ass in this match. It is such a great classic match to watch. I honestly thought this was a match. And Flair and Barry Windham had a few TV matches, and I thought this was the particular match, and I realized it was Tony Schiavone doing commentating, not Jim Ross. There's a match where I thought it happened that Barry Windham came so close to pinning. Barry Windham came so close to pinning Ric Flair that referee Tommy Young's hand came down so close to the mat that referee Tommy Young measured an inch. I was actually the TV match with Jim Ross calling. He was 1 inch from winning the title, but this wasn't this match, and it's not a disappointment. But any match with Ric Flair, I said any match with Ric Flair and Barry Windham, any match with Ric Flair, any match with Barry Windham is a classic to watch. One botched moment I have to point out. At times Barry Windham does not grab Ric Flair's and hooks Ric Flair's leg when he goes to cover him. and many times are close to the ropes, and Ric Flair puts his leg on the rope. But one of the first times that this happens, that Flair's leg is on the rope, no, Barry did this. Barry goes to cover Flair close to the ropes. You can see Barry grab his hand, take his hand, and grab Ric Flair's thigh, pull it up on the rope. Now that is one hell of a botch, and right in front of the camera. Barry, that was stupid. That was a stupid scene. But then again, this happens, but Flair puts his foot on the rope by himself. But then, no, eventually, Barry Windham ends up. He does a roll up on Ric Flair, but then Ric Flair reverses that roll up, continues to roll up, and rolls up Barry Windham and pulls his tights, and Flair pins Barry Windham, retaining the World Heavyweight title. Before the championship finale, the Jim Crockett City Memorial Tag Team Tournament match between the Superpowers, Dusty Rhodes and Nikita Koloff, versus Tully Blanchard and Lex Luger with J.J. Dillon, they have a special announcement that returning to the public eye and walking to the ring with help, Magnum TA. He, as most know now, he had been in a severe and near tragic car crash in October 1986, ending his career. The one thing I find more disturbing that the car crash, yes, he was several months, his arm, and it still seems his arm is still kind of injured or I guess paralyzed, but many said he would never walk again, the doctors. The one thing I question, Ric Flair was in a back-breaking plane crash in 1975, I believe the year it was. And he came back 6 months later. I don't see why Magnum, after maybe a couple of years, why didn't he make a comeback? His injuries were that bad? Is paralysis or something beyond that's been public knowledge now? In interviews I've seen on Magnum talk about not much about the car crash. I don't want to say if he could take a very long time making a comeback. He just made appearances here in the Crockett Cup Tag Team Tournament, and it helped. They say it helped motivate Dusty Rhodes and Nikita Koloff into the final match, and it was a very emotional, very slow walk by Magnum. And then he hugs Dusty Rhodes, his best friend. They were America's team, and as Dusty brought him in to the Crockett area, and the really strange moment of Magnum hugging Nikita, and it was Magnum Nikita had turned face because of Magnum's loss to professional wrestling. Is that Magnum and Nikita had a long-time feud in 1986. Everyone knows from the Best of 7 series during the Great American Bash. It was really strange. When I first saw this video, it was strange to see Magnum hug Nikita. And the one-time notice by David Crockett, Tony Schiavone, that Magnum had been in a tragic car accident. And I have that on at that moment. When it was announced about the car accident, that before the announcement, that the Horsemen were following Dusty Rhodes in that parking lot, the legendary parking lot, and they break his arm attack. Before they get to the parking lot attack, you hear people talking, chasing a car. And I didn't know who the heck was talking to who, or who was chasing who. Then they announce, they go to David and Tony and announce that Magnum had been in a car accident. What do you have, video of the car accident? That's what it looked like to me. But it led to it was actually the Horsemen attacking Dusty in the parking lot. There's one thing I have to add on that I did not cover in this event. The 1987 Jim Crockett Senior Memorial Tag Team Tournament, covering the video release, since WWE Network has not yet put it up. They just got done putting up the 86 version, full version. I'm hoping they'll love to see it. I will redo this video if they put up a full version in 1987, because there are a ton of matches, a lot of matches missed. Especially the Japanese, the representatives, Giant Baba, who was in the 1986 tournament, Ayoseo Takagi, if I'm pronouncing the name right, only images. And you will see the image. You've seen the images in the first round and other round matches. I have shown None of their matches, none of their matches are shown on video, and I find that so disturbing. Here's the okay. I am not an ounce insulting Magnum whatsoever. I loved Magnum as a teenager. We all did, but the VHS apparently was, lack of a better word, shortened. That all these matches were shortened to for the VHS to hold. They did a tribute to Magnum, his three greatest matches. Match with Wahoo McDaniel, which was seen in Worldwide Wrestling to defeat Wahoo McDaniel for the U.S. title in a cage match. Great, legendary match. Then they show him, Magnum, defending the U.S. title at the Great American Bash 85 against Kamala. Fairly good match. Then the legendary I Quit match, Steel Cage, Stark 85 against Tully Blanchard. All three was greatest matches. I fully agree. But because I'm not going to cover those matches because they weren't a part of the tournament, it had nothing to do with it. It was a special tribute to Magnum. This whole, practical sense, it was a second annual show. Dusty Rhodes having Nikita turn face. It was a replacement for Magnum. Magnum showing up. I am not going to cover those three matches. So I'm not going to cover those three matches because we would not know about those matches unless you saw the VHS tape. And I had to gather all images of the first round, second round, to get a long glimpse, a long image, a really good, great look, a full version, if you will, of the first round, second round, what everybody should have seen. And I hope a full version of this 87 show would be show up on the network. But I will not be. I did want to cover this tribute, the walk-in by Magnum TA, but I would not cover these three matches because they have nothing to do with this Crockett Cup Tag Team Tournament at all. I have all the respect and love for Magnum TA. It was unfortunate we lost him so early. But I wanted to touch on this tribute walk-in by Magnum. Why I would not cover his three matches shown because it had nothing to do with the tournament. If other YouTube channels want to cover a retrospective on the Crockett Cup Tag Team Tournament 87 or the VHS release, be my guest. But maybe at a later date I will cover those three matches. I've covered the Kamala match, Bash 85. Eventually we will be covering a Magnum Tully Blanchard. Wrestling Memories, me, my brother, and Jose will cover that match in a three-way commentary at one point. And I definitely want to do a review of the Wahoo McDaniel match from Worldwide Wrestling. But I just want to touch base on the tribute to Magnum TA. Okay, the tournament final match, 12th match on the videotape anyway. The tournament final comes down to the Superpowers, Dusty Rhodes and Nikita Koloff versus Tully Blanchard and Lex Luger with James J. Dillon. The one strange and the announcements are, it's practically pretty much a full match. The strange announcement I heard is when Gary Michael Capetta says James J. Dillon is the executive director of Tully Blanchard Enterprises. He's the manager of the Four Horsemen. But to say he was the director of Tully Blanchard Enterprises, that hasn't been around since January of 1986. When Baby Doll was dropped and J.J. Dillon took over as Tully Blanchard's manager. It's just a strange announcement to say he's executive director of the Four Horsemen. It's just things that I catch. Quickly, Nikita is a long time in the ring here, a really long time, and JJ, when they get Nikita outside on the concrete floor, JJ quickly rips off the neck brace of Nikita Koloff, so the Horsemen can really work on Nikita's neck, and they really work on Nikita a long time in this match. And then constantly Dusty's trying to get in, and the Horsemen now are pummeling Nikita, and the referee keeps I'm surprised Dusty didn't throw the referee or something. No. Dusty get coming in trying to get in, telling that the Horsemen are double teaming Nikita. It's not that long of a match whatsoever, really. Eventually, Dusty comes in. He doesn't. I mean, he does a quick few elbow smashes. The bionic elbow. He hits JJ, and everybody loves him. JJ's way he stretched. He rides the ropes when he's clobbered by Dusty. It's not that much time. Nikita has more time in this match than Dusty does, but Dusty gets knocked out of the ring, and then Tully Blanchard goes to pile drive Nikita. Dusty come up on the top rope and body press, flying body press, which is still an unusual thing for Dusty. Flying body press on the Tully, covers Tully 1, 2, and 3. Dusty Rhodes and Nikita Koff, the Superpowers, have won the second annual Jim Crockett Casino Memorial Tag Team Tournament. If you like this video, please subscribe, comment, like or dislike, and thank you for watching.